15 Best Scenes in Guy Ritchie's British Gangster Movies. There are few directors with the signature panache of Guy Ritchie. The British filmmaker has made a career of looking at the seedy underbelly of UK crime across genres. His unique style of director and snappy dialogue make it immediately clear that you are watching a Guy Ritchie movie. While he has dipped his toes in other subject matter over the years, it is his British gangster movies that he is best known for. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, RocknRolla, and The Gentleman all define the filmmaker's British crime canon. Released from 1998 to 2019, these gun-touting romps remain highly entertaining, featuring A-list performances from Hollywood heavy hitters like Brad Pitt and Matthew McConaughey. They also include some of the best singular scenes in Ritchie's career, whether it be Jason Statham's monologue in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels' opening few moments, or the dog eating a diamond in Snatch. RocknRolla's elevator scene is an all-timer. RocknRolla is Guy Ritchie's underrated gangster movie starring Gerard Butler, Idris Elba, Tom Hardy, and Thandai Newton. Butler plays 1-2, the leader of the criminal gang Wild Bunch, whose other members are Elba's Mumbles and Hardy's Handsome Bob. 2 years after The Departed's memorable elevator scene ending, RocknRolla manages to pull off a similar scene that's nearly as exhilarating. RocknRolla's ending contains several of Ritchie's trademarks, like hyper-stylized violence, a character explaining what's about to happen before it does, and a standout performance from the lead character. In this movie, Toby Kebbell as Johnny Quid. The scene is a highlight for Kebbell, who simultaneously portrays Quid as vulnerable, competent, and confident. Rosalind's introduction in The Gentleman marked a new era for Guy Ritchie movies. One of the most relevant critiques of Ritchie over his first several years as a filmmaker was a lack of female inclusion, let alone perspective. The worlds Ritchie explored in his movies, especially his British gangster films, were hypermasculine, and there was often little room left for a woman's point of view. However, over the years, Ritchie has included more women as main characters in his movies, culminating in Michelle Dockery's Rosalind in 2019's The Gentleman. The Guy Ritchie film's introduction of Rosalind portrays her as a savvy businesswoman, confident leader, and someone who understands the twisted political machinations of the UK's crime underworld as well, or arguably better, than her cannabis kingpin husband, Matthew McConaughey. Rosalind is a terrific and fleshed-out character, which makes her a refreshing breath of fresh air in Ritchie's British gangster movies. Bacon's monologue kicks Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels off with a bang. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels is Guy Ritchie's 1998 crime comedy starring Jason Statham, Jason Fleming, Nick Moran, and Dexter Fletcher as four best friends and low-level criminals who are massively indebted after playing a rigged card game with real gangsters. It's Ritchie's debut feature as a writer and director, and it's widely considered one of his best works. The movie has a fantastic opening with Bacon's sales monologue and the gimmick staged with Eddie to sell their products faster. Statham plays Bacon, who is offering cheap products from a stand on the street. Moran plays Eddie, who pretends not to know Bacon and to be interested in what he's selling. The scene not only works as a great introduction to the characters and the kind of crime they are used to, but it's also hilarious. At one point, Eddie asks, "Did you say 10 pounds?" Bacon quickly replies, "Are you deaf?" Yet it's Bacon's passionate sales monologue that steals the scene and makes the audience smile within the movie's first few minutes, setting the tone for the rest of the film. Tommy's introduction to Mickey in Snatch changes the movie. Snatch is a 2000 movie starring Brad Pitt, Jason Statham, and Stephen Graham. It's Guy Ritchie's second standout crime comedy, released only 1 year after Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Statham and Graham play Turkish and Tommy, two desperate partners in crime responsible for the last-minute replacement of their boxer in the high-level gangster Brick Tops. Unlicensed match. Brad Pitt plays Mickey, a young man from a traveler's caravan campsite who's excellent at tricking others into betting against their odds. Pitt as Mickey immediately leaps off the screen and marks one of Pitt's most memorable roles to this day. Although most people need subtitles to understand everything he's saying, Mickey's charisma is universally evident. Plus, his quirkiness in this scene throws viewers off of the scent of his ultimate ambitions, which are much greater than this introduction would suggest. Big Chris and Little Chris team up at the tanning salon. The card game's organizer in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is the ruthless Hatchet Harry, played by P.H. Moriarty. He sends a debt collector, Big Chris, after the four main characters to ensure they pay off their debt within a week. Played by Vinnie Jones, Big Chris pays regular visits to debtors with assistance from his son, Little Chris. One of the movie's most memorable scenes takes place in a tanning salon, where Big Chris finds someone who owes money to Hatchet Harry. It's a dingy, somewhat claustrophobic room filled with the eerie blue glow of tanning beds. The lighting is stark, contrasting with the usual perception of relaxation associated with tanning salons and matching the violent encounter. The partially undressed man tries to explain himself, but Big Chris interrupts him by slamming the tanning bed lid in his face multiple times while making threats. Big Chris crashes the car. Perhaps the most violent and impressive part of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels sees Big Chris and Little Chris in the car with gang leader Dog, who holds Little Chris hostage at knife point. Dog demands Big Chris to get his money back with Hatchet Harry, and Big Chris initially complies and drives away. This fantastic scene starts when Big Chris purposefully crashes the car into another to incapacitate Dog. He then steps out of the vehicle and places Dog's head between the seat and the door, using the car door to bash his head and kill him. Although it's well established at this point that Big Chris is violent, he clearly can become even more dangerous if someone touches Little Chris. This scene is not only an interesting side to Big Chris, but also feels like a reward to the viewer since the victim, this time, is one of the worst people in the movie. Turkish bets on the hounds.